as we step into our space. Don't let it fill up. Get ourselves together. All right, cool. The intro's in, topics in. Everything's in there. Cool bins. As we coming into this. Hello, everybody. Before we get started, nice little reminder. July 31st is the last day to register. July 31st is the last day to register for the upcoming class I'm dropping on August 8th, Chakra and Shadow. It's a 6-week course. We're getting into the deeper aspects of the 114 chakras of the body, understanding the higher level chakras that are above your head, the great sun, Christ consciousness, the great sun, Christ consciousness, the intergalactic gateway, the stellar gateway, the seat of the soul, the lower chakras that are outside of the body aspect, the earth star, the earth seat, the seat of the earth seat, where your soul enters the body, the aspects of the dolphin matrix, understanding how this is the dolphin matrix, the aspects of the earth in the inner city, that's where your ancestors are dwelling, the aspects of the whale matrix, the aspects of the heart of the earth, those chakras, and as well as the basic chakras inside of the body. We're also going to be getting into the aspects of the human design. We're going to be getting into human design. If you don't know what you don't know what your human design is, there's 5 archetypes. There's the dual archetype, which is the manifesting generator. There's the manifester, the generator, the projector, the reflective. Those aspects, we're going to be getting deep into really understanding those emotional authorities, those gates, getting into those processes. Excuse that it's kind of windy, the camera going to shake. But we're going to be getting into those. Also, we're going to be getting into the aspects of reflexology, understanding that everything that you're doing, that you react to, that you do in the physical form, is the reflex based on your design, whether you're in harmony or disharmony, whether you're in disunity or you're in harmony with your design, and understanding your energy senses inside of your body and how you do what you're doing while you're doing it, you're already doing it. As I always go into the aspects of this class, any class or anything that I provide, it's not based on, okay, cool, I'm in this class, so this is me avoiding the aspects of the healing work. All of my classes, all of my services are designed to get you deeper inclined with your shadow and getting into your healing, and then what you're doing after you go past the aspects of your healing. But what I wanted to get into today was emotional authority. If you've been rocking with me on TikTok for a while, you've seen videos that I posted, a couple of videos that I posted. I talked about the aspects of where you are not willing to learn. Where one is not willing to learn, you will be given a responsibility. Hello. Welcome. As always, everybody you have questions. If you have a question that pops up in your mind while we flowing, go ahead, write that question down. We get into that question and answer at the end. Might do a couple of readings. My Cash App link's up there. Might do a couple of readings, donation based. Or if you like what you heard, and it's gave you some motivation, go ahead, hit that link. Or you can hit my website link, and you can book that everything from a consultations, readings, any of my services. We can get into that. So welcome to another shadow session on Wednesday. Emotional authority. Where I was starting out with emotional authority. Where one is not willing will be created either directly or indirectly. Will be directly or indirectly receive a responsibility. You will receive responsibility. Where one is not willing to learn an aspect of themselves, not willing to sit down, not willing to do the work, or not ready to access work, you create a responsibility. You create a responsibility, i.e., something that's based on developing your skill set. When we think about the aspects of our traumas, the things that we've been through, the traumatic experiences, the unresolved, that means that time, everything from, it's okay. Towards the end of this, hit me in my inbox and we can talk. Hit me in my inbox and we definitely can talk. Hit me in my inbox and we definitely can talk about that. But where you're not willing to have understanding with oneself, you create a responsibility. Give you an example. If you had mother wounds, mother issues, like you have mother wounds, maternal wounds, fraternal wounds, these emotional wounds, the emotional wounds or the emotional scars, where you're not willing to understand a new perspective or take on a new perspective, you created a responsibility. I.e., you got into a relationship, for example, you get into a relationship, this person was the love of your life or whatever it was, they made you feel peace. They made you feel some type of, they gave you this sense of being, and then you end up having a kid with them. You have a child with them, or you end up taking care of their child, where you're not willing to face aspects of yourself. It reflects inside of your space as a responsibility or a task. Until I'm willing to understand that space or sit in that space and understand it, what really happens a lot of times, think about it like this. If I'm always angry and I say when I get angry, I get stuff done, I'm giving my anger, what I'm defining as my anger, authority over my skill set. So my skill set only works when I'm angry. My skill set only works when I'm in a state of anger. But everything that comes up into that space, this is when we get deep into this today, everything that comes up in that space that's perceived, the perception of making you angry or making you feel some type of way is going to force the true feelings to come to the surface. The more unresolved that I have inside of my shadow, the more unresolved that I have, the more unresolved that I have on the table. That's the only thing that will create my space. This is when I always get into the aspects of somebody, like you've seen the meme, you heard somebody say it, and it sounded nice. In the aspects of you only can love somebody as deep as you love yourself. But if you ask the question about what does that mean, that's the psychological aspect. When we think about the aspects of you working in your shadow, you going through your healing process, you coming into your spirituality, you coming into your spiritual aspect. A lot of times we're trying to conceive or conceptualize another authority. You're still trying to look for something externally as another authority so you can keep the same skill set. But you have to understand that as you level up, as you change, as you evolve, as you shed, as you change, that skill set isn't going to work anymore. The way that you used to get to people, or the way that you thought that you were taking time to yourself whenever there was an argument to be had or a conversation to be had. And because in reality, I didn't learn conflict resolution, I was used to using my anger to get my point across. So I developed through my anger. I'm intimidating. I'm too strong. I'm a real one. I'm hard as fuck. Niggas don't understand me. Can't nobody handle me. What I'm really saying, and this is one of the deep things we're going to get into in class. What I'm really saying out loud is I'm trying to find mask for my insecurity. I'm trying to find mask for this internal wound, and I'm seeking something outside of me to be that authority. That way I don't have to take in the accountability to my emotions, my emotional state. It's like Think about it as Stockholm syndrome. The way that you were treated when you were little, that grooming process. I've talked about grooming. Check it. It's on my YouTube channel. I should have put that link up there. It's okay. It's on my YouTube channel. And the aspects of you grooming, a lot of things that you're doing based on the responsibilities that you required is from that scarcity mindset. It's from the scarcity mindset. You have to think about it like, now I'm going to break it like this. Think about this. If I have true, authentic authority over my day and my life and what I do, I have authority over myself. Emotional authority, emotional intelligence. That means everything from mantras, meditations, me doing my work, my internal work. And I do that in the beginning of my day. That sets the tone. And I understand that the beginning of my day starts when I go to bed. Now I got to ask myself certain questions. Think about it like this at your job. Once a month, once a week, some jobs do once a month. I knew my jobs, once a month, once a week, truck order, inventory receipts, whatever. You took inventory. You had that little paper. You had that paper. You had that clipboard. You had that paper. You had that clipboard. And you sat there and you took inventory. You took inventory of all the product, the paper, the pencils, the shit on whatever was on the shelves. But you never once thought that at the end of the day, when you are tired, you not having authority over your life, you allow something else to take inventory for you. At the end of the day, you allow, how many times do you allow something else to take authority over the inventory of your energy? Think about that. I had to really think about how do I spend the ends of my night? I'm not saying that you can't watch TV, because we're not gonna say don't watch TV, brother. Don't watch TV, sister. What are you allowing yourself inside of your space of authority? Like, for example, for me, when I take myself inventory, I might go for a run. I might go for a walk. I might go for a run or a walk. I might sit outside and walk in the grass. I'm taking myself inventory. The conversations that I had, the conversations that I didn't have, the emotions, the way that I felt, and I'm really sitting with those aspects, and I'm going through that process. I'm going through that process. The reason that I'm going through that process is because I'm taking ownership over my day. The conversations that I had, now I'm looking at based on, do I have boundaries or not? Because a lot of our conversations from an unhealed space, there's no boundary in place. I talked about it last week in last week's live, and it's available on my page, on my YouTube channel. I talked about the 5 points. Let's draw the star. At the top of that star is me, my soul, me. To the right is air. To the left is water. So water is flow, air is direction. At the bottom to this side, whichever side you pick on your points, on this side right here is earth. That means grounding. It's more than just grounding. That's cultivation. That's acknowledge. That's cultivation. That's cultivation. That's nurturing. What am I nurturing inside of a space? And then I go into that fire element. That's my energy. So whenever I'm having that self-reflection conversation, and this is something that I provide to my client, and I'll make write-ups and all types of stuff, I provide into that aspect. Now, when I'm having that self-reflection conversation, that's the first, I'm looking at the first point being earth, where I'm at in that side of that space. Those conversations that I had, there's a difference between grounding and tethering. Grounding is in the aspects of taking the emotional authority. That is the resource. That means the space that I provide is a resource, or is it a narrative of responsibilities? So think about it as your house. Your house is your body is your house. That's your first space. So if I'm inside of my space, how much of my space is based on growth, and how much of my space is actually based on Tethering. That means I'm tethered to something emotionally. So if I'm looking inside of my space and I had a conversation with somebody and they got mad or upset, we got in a fight or whatever, we arguing back and forth, the first thing I'm going to do with myself is set the tone when I have my self-reflection is, did I acknowledge their feelings? Was I in that space to understand, or was I in that space to prove a point? If I'm inside of a space to prove a point, I'm tethering. That means my skill set. That means you have a conversation about bills or whatever it may be, and if you're trying to prove a point or what you're tethered to emotionally, unresolved, you'll sit there inside of that space and you'll have a conversation about bills and you'll talk about money. But if a person comes to you and talks about finance, because finance is the byproduct, the financial aspect is the byproduct of my emotional intelligence. Financial intelligence, financial literacy is the byproduct of my emotional intelligence, manifested through my finances or my currency or my energy. So if I'm always finding myself spent, do I have a budget? Do I know my budget? Do I know my emotional budget? Am I spending out of fear? 9 times out of 10, you spending out of fear. You spending out of scarcity, victimhood. Think about the victimhood mentality or the scarcity mentality. Simple way to think about it. If every time you make let's say $50, say you make $50, the first thing that you think about is what bill that you can pay with that $50. You're acting in the scarcity mindset. You're acting in the scarcity mindset. You're acting in the scarcity mindset because you're looking at where you're going to tether something to. Something is tethered to that. So you're thinking about immediately how you're going to release it. That means it's a responsibility. Nothing wrong with it being a responsibility. You just got to exalt those aspects. So now use that same instance. If I make $50, say I make $50. And the first thing that I think about is, based on my self-reflection, I know there's 30 days, 31 days in a month. I know my rent's due, and my rent is $700. Self-reflection is the state of how much is, if I break down $750 into daily, how much is $750 daily? How much do I need to make? How much energy do I have to budget? Do I get to budget daily to make that amount? So now we get even deeper into our self-reflection, because now after the self-reflection, now I'm grounding myself in a new thought. I'm assessing the tethers, whether I'm in a relationship and I thought that the relationship, I gave them authority over something. We're going to get deep into that aspect next. I got into this authority aspect. 9 times out of 10, when we getting upset, mad with some certain shit, it's because we gave false authority or responsibilities to something outside of us to avoid a responsibility or not to go deeper within inside of an understanding. I can give responsibilities are based on the skill set. Authority is based on access to the resource. Say that one more time. Responsibilities are based on the skill set. Authority is based on the discipline that I have observed into having access to a resource. So now when I look inside of that space, now I'm inside of my energy. Now I'm looking at my energy. So if I know that I got to make such and such amount a day, whether I'm working an hourly check, I'm working hourly, or for me now being the full-on therapist and doing what I do, I have to look for me in the example. Use both examples. If I'm working at a job and I make a certain amount an hour, and let's say you make $10 an hour, Let's say you say, okay, I can make 3. Okay, cool. So 700. Break that down. Okay, this much a day. I have to be real. I have to set realities in what I do inside of that day, because it's going to come up regardless. It didn't come out of nowhere. It came up. Because now you have that thought, you have your energy in place, how you move your energy. Now you're coming into the state of the flow, direction, what direction you're about to take. Because now I assess the energy I need to use. Now I'm in the aspects of the direction I need to take. Now I'm about to go into the aspects of the flow. The flow is where I determine the current events in the present. I've talked about this. We talk about this all the time. In the present, I can't do it based on the past, what happened, and I can't do it based on the future, what hasn't happened. Because if I'm stuck in that state where I'm thinking based on the past relationships, past actions, past whatever, I'm going to rob my future self. I'm going to rob my future self. The only person that you robbing, betraying, cheating out of shit is your future self. Because you're not present. So now we in the flow. Now I go to bed. Now I go to sleep. Now you wake up. What time do you usually wake up? Because after self-inventory is self-reflection. See, this is how we start using our energies in real time. Now it becomes now we got a state of self-reflection. Now I'm in a state of self-reflection when I first wake up. How do I wake up? What is the first thing that I grab when I wake up? Is it a bottle of water that I grab when I wake up, or is it my phone? Is it a bottle of water that what am I grabbing when I first wake up? Is it my phone? Is it something to build my identity? And what is it? Because regardless, you're going to be building what is necessary for that day. Now, if I'm taking authority over my life, in the state of authority with myself, I use this example all the time with myself. As myself, I'm up every day at 4 a.m. Monday through Saturday, I'm up at 4 a.m. Sunday, I might sleep into about 7, 8. Neither here nor there. That's my self-care day. But I wake up at 4 a.m. My phone on do not disturb. I literally have a screensaver on my phone that says do not touch. I hit the alarm. That's the only time that I touch it, to turn that alarm off. 4:30 for me. By 4:30, did my nice little body scan, doing my assessing, allowing myself to come into my body, back into the physical form. My meditation, followed by my workouts, assessment. For me now, it's like I'm looking. The only time that I look at, I like go to my the night before. For me now is like if I make any posts or I post up videos or I post content or a healing prompt or whatever. I'm seeing I scheduled that last night. This is a learning process. But when I first did this aspect in waking up, the first thing I would grab was my phone. So the first thing I had to understand why I kept grabbing my phone and immediately running to Facebook. Why I would grab my phone and immediately jump on Facebook. Why I would immediately grab my phone and jump on Instagram. Why I would immediately grab my phone. Now here's the reflection. Here's the reflection part. You'll tell yourself that because you saw you had a missed call. You'll tell yourself that because I had a missed message. And then now you're triggered because of your skill set of always trying to be on the go. See, it already started. But you control that narrative. You control that narrative. That message hit your phone while you were asleep at 2 o'clock in the morning. Or that message hit your phone. The only thing that's different now, you decided to go to bed at 10, 11 o'clock when you got off, when you didn't have nothing to do. You went to bed. Another key to this, stop going to bed when you're tired. Go to bed before you're tired, and it changes everything. Because you're now retraining your body. So now I'm sitting in that space. I get up. I look at my phone. I grab my phone. I'm looking at messages. Oh my God, somebody this, somebody need this, somebody need this, somebody need this. What I'm doing is rebuilding an identity. What you're doing in that current state is rebuilding the identity. You're priming the body. You're priming the system to what you're going to do based on that skill set. So now in the back of your mind, you're going to say to yourself, I don't have time to meditate. I got to go take the kids to school. But in reality, you got to look at, you knew you had to take your kids to school last night, Monday, Tuesday, the beginning of the week. But you decided to honor your skill set or the response. Since you're not willing to change that aspect, what did you do? You stayed up a little bit later. You stayed up till 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. You allowed Sons of Anarchy. You allowed Rick and Morty. You allowed that movie. You allowed watching whatever movie, whatever show to take authority of your life, to take the authority in inventory of your life. You allowed the television to take inventory. You allowed the television or that conversation that was highly confrontational to take the authority or the inventory of your energy. So when you woke up, what's the first thing that you reach for? Something to relive that moment. This is the muscle memory when we talk about that neuro-linguistic programming. You sit, oh my God, my life. It's kind of like when you go to bed. I remember always going to bed all the time, and you're trying to gather, since you didn't have authority over your life, and you sitting there outside of your house, and now you sitting there, you're trying to give yourself, you're calling it the last moments of the day. You're trying to seize the last moments of the day. I'm going to watch some TV. I'm going to eat. I'm going to do this. You call it everything else, but in reality, you're denying yourself access to the emotions, to the conversations, to how the conversations affect, how the conversations came into play, how that environment came, how you created that environment, how you lived inside of that dolphin matrix, how you stayed inside of that space, how you trying to get into the higher aspects of yourself, but you're forgetting that you still got open traumatic points open. So that conversation with your boss wasn't really with your boss. That argument you had with your boss wasn't with your boss. You're still acting out a scene from when you were 11 years old or 5 years old, and you were learning how to pour juice, and your mom yelled at you. My mom yelled at me, so you got scared. You still trying to pour the juice without getting yelled at. You haven't learned how to reassess that and look at that perspective outside of that space. To look at that perspective outside of that space. So you can actually, this when I do past life regressions, when I'm sitting you down in hypnotherapy past life regressions, and let's go back to that moment. Let's go back to that moment when you first hit your head. Let's go back to that moment of that first argument. What do you smell? What do you taste? I'm activating all 5 senses. The only way something manifests is through all 5 senses. All 5 points that create your boundary. Your 5 senses are your boundary, what you feel into the aspects of your boundary. So that self-reflection, I got to sit you back in that self-reflection space. I got to help you raise that energy. You ain't going to raise that shit fast because you already came in. 9 times 10 people, my clients come in, I let them go for about 5-10 minutes. I let them go about 5-10 minutes. Then I stop them, taking a breath, hold it, taking a breath, release, taking a breath, hold it, relax your body, allow your body to relax, allow yourself to sit in it, sit in it, sit in it, sit in it. By the 6th breath, all right, cool. Now let's have this conversation. Because my space is I'm in a healed state with myself. I'm in that oneness. So everything that I create, I have the resource that is based on self-healing. It's a self-healing entity in itself. We'll get deeper into that in the class. It's a self-healing entity inside of itself. So now I have authority over my information, my energy. So now I can create the resources. My resources are in alignment with the responsibilities. See, a lot of times you're trying to keep the responsibilities going, or the energy, your skill set based on those responsibilities, but you're not trying to level up to make those aspects resources. There's nothing that I do that I don't have a service for. Use that, and we'll go back to that. Use the example. Gotico Alchemist LLC. Everything from readings, the consultations. I have monthly sessions where you get 2 sessions a month, single sessions where it's 1 session a month. I have shadow work there, the shadow therapy consultation, 2 hours 45 minutes minimum, where I'm literally not only using the spiritual aspect, but I'm using the psychological aspect or the occult, the hidden aspects, in order to psychoanalyze your movements, how you move. If you sat there inside of a conversation with me and you lean like this the entire time to the left, and you only use this hand to express yourself, I know that you're at an imbalance somewhere. And you move in this hand, I know what that means. So I know how to direct you to straighten you back up. If you leaning like this in most of the conversations, or you like this in the conversation, or you sitting like this, or you moving your hand, whichever, I know what that means. I've done the work and assessed those authorities in that aspect of that meaning to understand what that means, so I can direct you and help with the conversation. Before you done with the conversation, you can be all in the light, the projection of your feelings, but before you leave, you're going to be sitting inside of your shadow. You're going to be sitting at the door with your shadow. From there, we can do the work. I can't do nothing with you until you dedicated to sitting inside of your shit. I guarantee my shit based on the dedication to yourself. So that goes into the aspects, and let's go back to the day. Let's go back into the aspects of the day. Smoke my herbs. So now you woke up. So now I wake up. I got to go to work. I know I had to go to work at 9 o'clock. Since last Saturday. I had to go to work at 9 o'clock a.m. since last Saturday, since the schedule dropped on Wednesday. But because I'm stuck on responsibilities, the external aspects, I make no plans for it. I'm not used to making plans. I'm afraid to make plans. If I tell somebody, hey, I got to go to work, I feel bad. I don't feel bad. I don't feel insecure. I don't feel doubtful. I don't feel rejected. I created that space or that tether based on rejection. That entire relationship was based on a fear of rejection. That entire relationship was based on the fear of something. Insecurity, not being enough, feeling powerless, not being available, all of these aspects. But in reality, I have to come back and sit and see where I learn how to, because that's a reflex. That's a reflex. Off top, that's a reflex. What I'm doing in the external aspect, that's the reflex. By the time I'm doing it, it's already been thought of, processed, aligned, attracted. It's already in motion. As soon as I have the thought, the emotional gateway that I allow it to come through, that's what gives me the reflex. So since I'm used to that reflex or that blockage, I'm not even understanding that I'm working in a blockage. So what do I call it on the outside? I apply pressure. If somebody gonna love me, they gotta be able to handle me. I'm giving myself a false identity. This is me giving myself the false identity. This is myself giving myself the false sense in the aspect of a responsibility inside of said space. That's all I'm doing inside of that space, is giving myself a false sense of responsibility. And then I call it, I don't like being disrespected. But in reality, I'm hurt and I don't know how to deal with my hurt. And I feel like I don't have access to something that's going to help me deal with my hurt, because I don't have time, because I got to wake up at 9 o'clock in the morning. I got to wake up before 9, and I got to get the kids to bed. I got to get the kids up. So by the time I get my day started, I'm already behind. So then I repeat the cycle. No authority over my day. No authority over my energy. Everything else can guide me, direct. Everything else can take me into a different direction. Everything that is based on flow is now based on force. Everything that's based on direction is now based on detriment. Everything that's based on flow is now based on force. Everything based on force is now based on tethering. Everything tethering is based on the aspect of an unresolved issue inside of myself, my soul, where my soul sits. And then that's where I disperse my energy. all because I don't know how to reflect. But as soon as I started doing that process and allowing myself to go through the process and accepting that it's always been there, I just didn't want to see it. That became the reality for me. Things were always available to me. Things were always there. I just didn't want to see it. The way that I was looking at it was through that physical sense or through the responsibility sense. Because the first thing that I say is, I'm not worthy of that. I don't think my skills, I don't think what I do is going to work there. So now I'm stuck in skill set, my skill set. I'm trying to keep my skill set afloat. My skill set gave me the identity. So another way to get access, and we talked about this last week, is I need a liaison into the state of that comfort. Now I need a liaison to get into that space. And I explained what the liaisons are. The liaison, use the example, the liaison is they have access to a certain amount of responsibilities or authority inside of a space, but they lack the authority to actually change it. They got to follow a script just like you. The receptionist at the doctor's office that you got mad at about your bill, they're only a liaison. They only got a certain level of access. They're following the same rules that you didn't want to follow in some way, shape, or form. The cashier at the grocery store that told you that your card was declined and you getting upset that your card was declined. And then you go sit over there to the side and you call and they say this amount was taken out of your account and this amount was taken out of your account. And then instead of sitting there with it and walking, because now you're in the high sense of your emotion, now you hop in your car or you hop in the car, you call you, whatever, however you get, you speed to the house and you sit there and now you waiting for your man or your chick or your kid or whoever come through the door that spent the money or who you thought spent the money. And now what are you doing while you're sitting in that space? I guarantee everything that's going to come into your space is going to keep you in that state. You want to be kept in that state because you know your skill set is to throw hands. So everybody that you think about throwing hands, you don't want no one to convince you otherwise not to throw hands. So everybody you go talk to in alignment to get to your crib, you got two choices. You go by 3 parks. You go by 3 parks. You go by a lake. You go by the gym. You go by the bank. You go by everything that can allow you to take authority over that situation. You went right by the bank. You went right by the bank. You didn't have the nigga has your card. You could have easily went to the bank and went to the fraud department and be like, hey, these charges right here are not authorized by me. I understand that this person is an authorized user, but I will accept what needs to happen. This is the key. I will accept what you need to do in order for me to get this, for that to be taken away with. So by the time you get to the house, now you've built a space of a resource. Instead of you getting mad at, but it's the principle, you spent it and da-da-da-da. You already took care of it. So now you've leveled the space. Now you've re-leveled the space. You have now set the space into a new flow in a new direction. Now you can just sit at the house and you be like, thank you. And when they whatever they tell you, you can say thank you. You gave me what I needed to know. Thank you. I am upset that you did it. I do feel some type of way that you did it. But as I sat with it, I went and did what was necessary. Now, this is how we're going to move forward. Because now I can establish the new boundary. The only time you're getting upset is because you haven't established the boundary. The only time I'm getting upset with shit is if I didn't establish the boundary yet. I was still going off of the aspect of I gave this place responsibilities either directly or indirectly based on my skill set. I used to know that I'm the type of person where I was like, yo, everybody, I'm trying to make sure everybody's good. So my skill set was developed around that. My environments, the responsibilities I took on were based on that. So then I would settle for, oh, you a real one, my nigga, you a real one. But in reality, that was just validating some surface shit. See, I'm not a reject. I'm not an accident. I'm still living out something from my past. I'm still living out that past moment. I'm robbing my future self. I'm robbing the future self to pay off my past self. So that person, that place, that thing, that job, it becomes what's present. And everything comes through that. It becomes my resource. But that resource is only a projection of light. Since it's a projection of light, it has to come from somewhere. What's feeding this body of light? My unresolved, my disunity, or my resolved, my unity? So as I'm looking back, I'm like, damn, my life is the way that it is because I keep doing, because I woke up, now I go back. Because I gave this person authority because the day when I said I got to rush and get ready for work, they were there to give me a ride. So I gave them the responsibilities based on their skill set or what they had the car. But I became dependent. I didn't become dependent. I'm just exercising my skill set that's based on dependency. I'm just exercising my skill set that's based on the need to have this external value. See how that works in the aspects? But until I become the emotional authority, I don't become an asset yet. I've been acting in the aspects of liability mode. I've been in the liability mindset. Once I come into the asset mindset, that means when I wake up 4 a.m. in the morning, first 4 or 5 hours of my day, I don't touch my phone. Not unless it's something that I've already planned. I'm not going to do it not unless I've already set it up. Let's put it that way. I'm not going to do it not unless I already set it up. If I didn't set that space at that time for that, that doesn't mean, if I didn't set the energetic point for that space, it's energetic, the energetic aspect, then I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to sit there and I'm not going to do it. It ain't going to make sense for me. That's when I start addressing the energetic aspect, how I'm laying out my day. So now I'm inside of that space. By the time 10 o'clock happens, it's not coincidence. It's not a coincidence that you got that message at 2 o'clock in the morning. That you got that message at 2 o'clock in the morning. You looked at it and you said, I'm not answering that. I ain't answering that message. You looked at it, not going to answer it. And then you woke up, and by the time you got to your phone at 10, they said, never mind. Now you feel some type of way. Damn, they said, never mind. Let me go read the messages. Oh, they needed something. I guess they found it. I guess they found somebody to give it to them. Accept it as that simple point. That simple point. That's how you navigate it. Now you sitting with your feelings. Damn, I wasn't there for them. But now you got to get real with it. Now this when you come reality with yourself. Now later on in the week, now you answer that message 10:30. When you actually are available to answer the message, you answer the message. Yo, is everything all right? I was asleep by that. I was asleep. I was knocked the fuck out. Man, I needed some money for something real quick because, man, I'm like, I didn't have it. If I didn't have it, why did you need it? Man, because da-da-da, this, and this. Yeah, I didn't have it. Now, whether or not how they feel after that moment is not on me. I gave my aspects of being honest. See, a lot of times we'll sit in the space, be like, man, I wish I had it for you. I would give it to you if I had it. All you're doing is instilling new tethers. All you're doing is instilling new tethers. In that moment, that was a teachable moment, you're instilling new tethers. You're teaching somebody how to work. You're teaching somebody exactly how to integrate with you, whether you're doing it directly or indirectly. Directly means you're doing it from a state of balance or in harmony, versus the aspects of me doing it in disunity. That means I say something like, if you can wait till Friday, or you can wait till this day, or you can wait till this time to do this, this, and this. But let's go back to the beginning of what I said earlier in this, why that's so important. I already told myself that, let's say I need $300 in 30 days, $10 a day. This person needs $20. I don't have it. The basic math for me in the aspect of not moving scarcity is I don't have $10 until I got $20. I ain't got Harlem double up logic. We're using the Harlem logic. I don't have $10 until I got $20. So they need 20. I don't have 20 until I have 40. So now can I program that into my, if I program this into my space, this goes the next trick. Oh shit, so I made $40, $60 that day or whatever. And I give them the $20. I'm not pressed for the $20 because I understood me able to give them 20s because I had 40. So now they skip out. They hit me up, none of that shit. Thank you, brother. Now I'm sitting inside of that space with that $40 I just gave them, that $20. Instead of me getting mad, here goes some reality and you becoming an ultimate resource with yourself. Here becomes the aspects of being the ultimate resource with yourself. That's the price I had to pay in order to see them for what they were. See, when you're coming into that space of your authority with yourself and you becoming that asset, in order to understand your responsibilities, you got to discipline the emotions that go down to that point. Where that emotion goes inside of that point. So if I gave somebody $20 and then they skipping town and they avoided me, what am I really mad at? Man, I really needed that $20. But in reality, I wasn't using my new applied information of I don't have $20 till I have 40. Because that 20 was based on the 10 that I needed to make a day to make 300 by the end of the month. So what I did, I wasn't moving in a state of overflow. See, you must create the space that is based on overflow or your emotional authority. Once you have that emotional authority in play, you're assessing your emotions. You're in that space, that healed space. It changes the direction of how now you're in the aspect of flow. Now I'm in the aspect of flow with myself. Now when I wake up, my first parts of my day is dedicated to me. And I don't feel bad for the first parts of my day being dedicated to me because I understand the power behind the beginning of the day. When you first wake up, if you do it correctly, you charge the fuck up. That charge is strong as hell. It's like plugging your phone in and unplugging your phone, and your phone stay at 100% for about 30 for damn near half most of the damn day. But if I'm always looking, like use the example of looking at my phone and I'm looking at the percentage of how much energy is on the phone, I'm acting in scarcity. That means everything I'm going to look at is to keep that charge. That means I'm looking for something to tether myself to. So like, okay, cool. I got my phone. That means I need a car charger. That means I need a car charger. How much a car charger cost? Let's say it's $20. I ain't got $20 till I got $40. Then I run myself ragged trying to go get the right cell phone or a phone charger. Now I got to make sure everywhere I go has a port for a charger. So now I'm limiting myself in my level of availability or my level of access because I do not understand that resource. So now I'm stuck. Oh my God, I keep making this because I ain't built that resource out yet. Now that I sit, as I said earlier in this, me in the aspect of my process over the ever since 2000, from 2000 and we'll say 2018, when I really got deep into going public with the things I was doing, everything that I did, I have no regrets over anything that was done inside of that space. I can take ownership and authority that everything that I did was necessary inside of that space. Take self-inventory over every conversation that I had. Was that conversation based on growth? Was that conversation based on establishment? Was that conversation, was that event, was it based on the establishment of growth or me going forward in my true self in the present? Or was it based on me trying to feed something based on my past? Everybody hate me. Everybody don't want to fuck with me. If I go too deep into these damn shadows, I ain't gonna come out the same. Motherfuckers ain't gonna have access to me anymore. People ain't gonna be able to say the shit they used to say to me anymore. You looking at somebody now, anger, what the fuck is that? Me getting mad at what? Me feel some type of way about what? The only time that you getting upset or you that emotional trigger pop up on your ass, the moment that emotional trigger pop up on your ass is somewhere that you haven't developed something yet. You still in developer mode in that space. That's all it is. You haven't developed that relationship with yourself yet. You mad at whatever ex-girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever it is. That's a space that you have not developed that. For me in the masculine sense, that's a space that I haven't developed my feminine essence with myself yet. How I'm guiding and how I'm leading myself. I can't lead somebody else, protect somebody else, if I'm stuck in the state of responsibility or the lower aspects of myself, because I have to create spaces directly or indirectly that give me a reason to be a protector, that give me the reason to be the giver, the taker, whatever it is I am. But in reality, now I'm only providing provisions. It's provisional based on my emotions, how I feel at the time. It's provisional, how I feel at the time. Think about it like this. It's like coming into that position. I remember coming into my positions. This is back when I was in the, let me work out in these restaurant days. Let me work out in these restaurants. My ability to acquire instantaneous is what I was confusing through scarcity or lack mindset. See, I'm in the right space because I'm getting this shit coming fast as fuck. But in reality, I was just grafting over the space. From the first time that from the first time I ever worked the job, the way that I went into that, I was still living through that. I've talked about this in lectures with myself. Like, my first job ever was a dishwasher, Monday through Friday. Had a nice, simple job. And the time that I hopped on the line, the first time that I hopped on the line anywhere, the nigga was on fry side. The nigga was high as fuck out of his mind. So I came in through chaos. And I achieved it. And I kept moving through that pattern. And I got used to that pattern. I got tethered to that pattern. I developed my responsibilities around that pattern. I developed my entire life at that time around that pattern. And I continued it. But when I came to that way, when I couldn't go anymore, because that only projects based on unresolved. So once I felt in my mind that I got everything that I wanted, got the house, got the car, I always wonder, like, when I got the car, when I got the house, when I got all of these things, the relationship, whatever it is, that shit would automatically go into a state of decline. Because I was projecting being happy. So now everything that was based on happiness has to go back to a stalemate. I got to reset. I got to go back to the point to where I wasn't happy. But it wasn't happiness I was looking for. I kept telling myself I'm looking for happiness, but in reality, I was looking for validation of comfort, validation of not being rejected, validation of not being to be accepted. I was looking for that. So now when I came into the space now with myself, going through my processes, now I'm in that side of mindset. And the thing about that hurt, that gets to a lot of people, you got to remember everything that you built everything you built is now in question. Everything you did up to that point is now in question. Everything you did up to that point is now questionable. That's why you go into that state of questioning everybody. In the way we avoid it is we question everybody else's intentions to validate our own. We question everybody else's motives to validate our own. We question everybody else's responsibilities and shit, what they want to do to validate our own. I ain't validating anybody anymore. That's the liability mindset. Once I stepped out of the liability mindset and I stepped into that LLC mentality, that ownership mentality, in real life made that a real life fucking mantra that I plastered on everything that I was doing. Going back to the beginning where I was saying there's no going back, fuck them kids, all that type of shit. All of those were my impactful mantras to myself. I was not saying them, and this is the learning process, I wasn't saying them for somebody to validate it. This when we get into that, we're going to get deeper into these throughout the week. This when we get into the aspects of spirituality, consciousness, niggas being woke, and they can say all of it. Can you simplify it? Emotional authority, the authenticity of yourself is to be able to simplify it. It's to be able to simplify it into a way that it hits all 5 points. That I discuss an aspect of, that I plant a seed, that I water that seed, that I look at the direction in which I was going in order to water that seed. What energy am I putting into that space to keep that seed in growing? If I achieve all 5 of these points, whether it's with my boundaries, whether it's when I speak, whether it's whatever I do, and it was a learning process. You can go back to my first lectures, first live post that I put on my page, and go all the way up till now. You can see that I went through my growing process right here in front of everything, because that's me living in transparency. That was me living in that state of transparency. That was me living in the state of transparency, gaining authority over myself. Whoa. Go away. Oh, I don't want to do that. Oh, I can see all this shit's big. I didn't see that. But as you're changing and redeveloping your space, you're becoming the authority. Once I became the authority over my emotions, now I can look at myself as a resource. Now I can look at, the overflow is what creates my resources. The overflow is what's going to create the resource. If I do not have authority over my emotions, anything I'm going to create is going to be based on responsibility, i.e. reserve, i.e. reactability or reaction. It's based on a state of reaction. Got to get this done. Got to make this happen. This person got to see me do this. They got to see me do this, this, and this. I got to keep it going. I'm acting on reserves. So I'm acting out of responsibility. I'm acting out through a certain catalyst of emotion, and I'm not really going anywhere. But if I become that emotional authority in my life, now I have a resource for it. Now I got the resource. Use me as the example. All of my resources are not based out of scarcity. I have, whether it's G.O.D Alchemist LLC, the website where you can go get, there is something in that aspect that matches for everything. I have the tiers built into it. I built the tiers based on my resources. All of my tiers are in play. Whether it's consultation, whether it's whatever reading, whether it's a session once a month or twice a month, whether it's the big boy aspect of getting into shadow work therapy, $555 is $555. You can set up a payment plan for it. So I have that resource of that level of access. The only way you get access to me based on the shit that I've worked on is not that you missed it, because this goes down into the basis of it's not my responsibility. I was already doing it. It's becoming comfortable with like, yo, I did a lot of work to get to that point. I can own that. Now, outside of that, I have the other resource, a Code Academy. That's the new class that the Code Academy's been launched. where I'm launching, where I'm relaunching the classes, but I have an idea for that, what it's going to be going to next. Everything from classes to the virtual retreats, live retreats, all going to go through a Code Academy. That's what that resource is for. Code Alchemy, my clothing brand. Been working on that for the last 4 or 5 years, and I launched it. Now I have, as I'm assessing my resource, that's what gives me availability. That's what gives me availability. It's an overflow. That means I'm not looking at it through scarcity. That means when I go into space and somebody, like, use an example, I got hit up about doing a photo shoot with some of the merch, and set up a photo shoot. My mind did not go to, man, that's gonna cost too much. How much that's gonna cost? The first question that I asked was like, how does that work? I ain't never done it before. I've seen photo shoots. I ain't never been in a photo shoot before. How does that work? See, now I can ask the questions that will give me the information that is necessary. Last thing on my mind is the price. Because apparently it's meant to come into my space, because it wouldn't be coming up if I wasn't ready for it. Let me stop doubting myself. This can be a whole big ass bartering system in that space for the first time of learning it. What can I provide to the space instead of provisional? And it changes the narrative. As you change your narrative, as you come into this new state with yourself in aspects of growth, as you're changing and you're developing, you got to remember, one thing my mentor taught me was like, nigga, don't nobody know you. Nobody knows you. And when he told me that, and I sat with that for the first time, I was like, you're right. Because I used to get triggered all the time by, like, every day I'm making posts, I'm posting stuff up, I'm plastering shit all over my walls, I'm plastering all this shit. And then I'm sitting there like, hold up, wait. Where am I plastering? What energy am I using to put this up there on the page? Am I going through scarcity? That means I'm going through an aspect of scarcity with myself, or lack. That means every post that I post up, like, use an example, when I was posting up earlier, like when I used to post up earlier on, readings, consultations, all my shit, am I posting this based on lack? How am I showing up? When I sit in this space, how am I showing up? Am I showing up whole, or am I showing up halfway? I know I'm showing up halfway because I'm looking up like this, like, there's only 2 people looking at me. Nobody came into the live. That's how I know I'm acting in scarcity. So I'm not standing on my truth. Even if I say some impactful shit, that shit is now fueled by my lack mentality. So I'm going to get into that space. Eventually, inside of that space, something going to come based on lack. That means I'm going to get 9. That means I dropped 1 live. I based it on lack. And now 975 people, random big ass number. Ain't no random. I just wanted to say that number. 975 fucking people coming to my inbox, asking me for services, and they ain't got no money. Me getting upset with them ain't got nothing to do with them. It's all on me. Because when I posted that picture, I posted that shit based on scarcity. I needed something. I wasn't taking authority. But yeah. I think I'm going to do a reading. No. As I said in the beginning of our mighty course. Hello. Papa Lucifer Samdi. Co-therapist, healer, shaman, guide, mentor, coach, teacher, whatever moniker I have authority over. And I want you to be the fucking best. I desire you to be the motherfucking best. I desire you to be the motherfucking best. Whether it's want to get locked in for a reading, consultation to see where you at so we can start your healing process, or many other services, check out the website. The link is in my bio. If you're interested in a Code Academy, look in my videos that are on my page that are talking about Chakra and Shadow. That is Chakra and Shadow. That's the class that I'm offering. That's the new class that I'm offering. It starts August 8th. Registration ends July 31st. If you still want to do the class, but you said I can't do it by July 31st, hit me in my inbox. Hit me in the inbox. Hit me with an email. Hit me in the inbox. Say, hey, I can set up by the 5th. As long as you get yourself in before the 5th, because we start on the 8th. It's via Zoom, so you ain't got to be in person. It's via Zoom. It's $100. 6-week course. We getting into your chakra, getting into all aspects of the chakras, human design, reflexology, and a lot more as it comes in. This is an interactive class. First day, day one, is going to be a nice introduction of everything we're going to be getting into. Week 2 through 3, we're going to get deep into the aspects of those chakras. The chakra systems, energy points. Week 4, we're going to slide. Week 4 and 5, we're going to slide into human design. Week 6, we're going to get into that reflexology. Might have to be an extra class. Don't know yet. But I desire you to be the motherfucking best. From this point, this is your beginning. What are you about to do with it? I guarantee only 3 things. That this shit will be destructive, because healing is destructive. You are deserving, but you're not entitled. That means if you're not going to put in the work, you have to accept what you're about to get. And this level of honesty, true honesty, is the key to the transparency to sit within your vulnerability, to not only plant seeds, but to understand the seeds in the plants, the seeds that you have already planted. But yeah, I love you. We love us. You just came in late. This video will be available on my YouTube channel within the next couple of days, so don't worry about it. But I love you. We love us. Ashe.